Quick show of hands, who here has done grid testing? Regardless of OEM, just going out, doing testing, handful, not necessarily all. Before today, who has heard of the EPIC Prism Scanner that we're going to talk about? So, a few. Obviously, I guess who uses PCTEL today? Obviously, that's like one of the largest that's out there. Tom, I, and Bob, we're all PCTEL, so we've been there, we've used them all. So the solution that we partnered with EPIC for, I mean, Byron, if you want to pass that around or if it's already being passed around, the EPIC Prism Scanner, literally size of a deck of cards, comes with a duck antenna. More times than not, a lot of times you're going to use whatever antenna the AHJ has. A lot of times they want that to match. It's just an SMA connector, just like you have on the PCTEL. It comes with a little magnetic back, so depending on where you want to put it, you can kind of make it where it's attached to your phone. It's Android-based right now, so phone, tablet, whatever you have, you're going to be able to set it up, quick connection, or if you want to do, a lot of times there's little custom jobs where they require you to have it on the hip, or even we do cellular and all that, where some people are like, I got to mount it on a pole, it's got to be above my head. All depends on who you're testing for and what you have to do. So I presume most people have heard of iBwave more for the design perspective, so that's kind of our major focus, but we also have mobile offerings as well. So our mobile survey software with the EPIC Prism Scanner, I mean, it's kind of twofold. Obviously, with the Prism Scanner, you're able to go through, do your grid testing, but also have a lot of stuff that would be integrated with your design. So whether if you do design in-house, if you outsource it to Westel, or any other third party, I mean, essentially, you're going to be able to take a lot of that data and make it where your design is more accurate. With that, I mean, we also have like our Unity platform, which is kind of like a full cycle cloud scenario where instead of saying, okay, I got Google Drive, let me offload it, transfer it over, you can pretty much do like a one-click, upload it from your tablet or phone straight to the cloud, let it process for a minute or two, and it'll be there for the designer to start working on right away. So with the scanner, we basically have 4 full functions that we can do. GPS mode, so I mean, if you're going to do a walk around the building, campus type work, any of that, you're able to collect that data. Continuous and stop and go. Continuous is what you're going to be used to with like if you use PCTEL currently. Essentially, you're the GPS. Everywhere you click, you're walking at a steady pace. Click where you turn. If you stop, clicks, the data stays. Stop and go, I don't believe PCTEL has. It's very helpful if you're on a rooftop. So if you're, let's say you have 5 spots that a Yagi antenna may go in the future, so pre-designed, it's only going to record where you click. So it's not, I need that bread trail, I just need to collect where that is going to be. The designer is going to get that, and that's what he's going to put into his measured RSSI for his source. You don't want to do that one with the Yagi because then you've got the gain. It's literally what would the Yagi see at that point. So those measurements would be great for that. It's got the spectrum analyzer like you do with the PCTEL, but I don't know if they don't have a waterfall, do they? Yeah, they do. Okay, so with the waterfall, which is nice to have regardless of if you're using old school spectrum analyzer or with the PCTEL or with the EPIC, just so you can kind of see a history, especially if you're trying to figure out what your traffic channel versus control channel is. I'll go through a real quick one just to kind of show you, I mean, how do you determine between the two in a fast and easy method, and obviously grid testing. So all in the set, when everything's said and done, you need a report. This is going to look very similar to how PCTEL's is. I mean, you got the basic details of the project, overall pass-fail. You're going to move into the grid itself. How does that look on a per cell and all your critical areas? And then look at the actual details. So having your RSSI, your SINR, bit error rate, DAC score, whether if it's done average, min, max, you can do all 3. Or with the DAC, you can enter in manually. So when the HJ is like, I'm old school, I only want the radio, we can do that as well. And then lastly, if there is a failure, we make sure, just like PCTEL does on theirs, make sure that it stands out. And that's the main goal, just so they ultimately know that, hey, something's good, something bad. Usually HJs are very black and white or green and red. You don't want to show them a lot of like red per se, because obviously they're going to look, okay, that's what I need to focus my eyes on. But with our results, we want to make sure we do stand that out. So with that, I'm going to stop all the slides because you've had enough slides today and you got more to come. Sorry. Oh, yeah. So, make sure I'm showing. So whether if you start a project from design itself, our design software, you can load a floor plan, bring it in, and then load it straight to our software on the mobile side, or you can start this and it be 100% independent. So depending on the stage of your company, we abide either way. It can be any kind of image format. Also, it can be a PDF. If it's a CAD file, then it would go from our desktop in. But the nice thing is it can be a PDF image. Load it straight in. Just like you would do with most things, then you're going to want to scale it. That way your scale is accurate. I've got this pre-scaled, ready to go. But there's a couple nice features that you're able to do. If we always tell you to get like the longest measurement whenever you're going to geocode your floor plan. If you do anything on a shorter side, like a door, doors are 3 foot by default, or by standard, I should say. Using that, your margin of error is going to increase. So using a longest measurement, but we also allow it where if you're on the outside of the building, if you can see my mouse, I can go from like a corner and I can click it and tell it to take my GPS coordinates and then walk to a different section of the building. Ideally outside, because obviously you want good GPS coverage. Check the next spot, and it's going to take your full measurement, and it's going to set your scale for you, assuming that you have good GPS. That's one way to do it. Otherwise, going into Google Earth, going through, take a known measurement that you can see on your floor plan, and just get your measurement, pop it in there. So I'm going to start with the scanner functions first. So when we launch this, we have a quick little spectrum analyzer button. I'm just going to set this out to the front. It does come with a 6-inch cable, but it's just a USB to USB, so you can use any other cable to it. I can also hook this up to my laptop, and I can run the spectrum analyzer or the PCI scanner functions. None of the surveys and anything along those lines, but these are built in. So right off the bat, you've got your built-in spectrum analyzer. I'll just change a few things. And as Tom mentioned, service in here, meh, at best. But I always tell people best practice, no matter what kind of spectrum analyzer you're using, or if it's just like an old Enritsu, validate your frequencies first and foremost. You may get them from AHJs, you might get them from the frequency license holder, you might get them from radio reference. I mean, wherever you're getting that from, I don't like to trust anybody. I like to validate it. First thing I would do on here, and right now I'm looking at my 800 downlink. I always know by default, I set up my presets where I can do 860 as a center with 18 megahertz as my span. I've got my start and stop right where I want, so that way every time I can jump back and forth. Same thing if I wanted to jump over to my 700, I just save a preset, 767 with that 18 megahertz where I got first net on the left-hand side, which even that's very weak in here. And then obviously you can see whatever you want. So like I said, no matter what kind of spectrum analyzer you're wanting to work with, always put a marker down at it. I always say don't put it spot on because your accuracy is probably not so great. I would set my resolution bandwidth to 12.5 since that's the signal what we're working with. Use your peak left, peak right type functionalities. That way it'll snap to it. You go through the full list. With this, if I had everything marked down, I'd be able to go through and I'd see every marker for 700 and 850 or 800. On cellular base, so I always like to say 850. And then next step on that is we have a PCI scanner that's built into it. So it's going to be similar to, if you ever heard in the cellular world, you can do a blind scan, which we absolutely can, but we're not really worried about cellular today. We're more focused on the public safety side. So with public safety, you're not going to do a blind scan because you're going to be doing a monitor, a channel. So I can see literally everything that I've done within here. And out in the parking lot, I went through, signal's much better outside than it is inside. There's definitely blocks inside of here. So I've already pre-populated. I went through and I wrote down all my markers for 700 and 800 public safety. I can just restart this test. And it's going to go through. And you can see I have quite a list that I have on here. So there was a handful of 700. And these are the old results. So it'll refresh here in a second. But it's only going to decode my control channel. My traffic channel is an analog signal. It's FDMA, where my control channel is going to have more details based on if it's phase one or phase 2 is on the technology. But as you can go through, you can kind of see, okay, as of right now, only one channel decoded. I don't know if you were seeing the same one, the 855.6875 or what you were.
700, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, Eventually, I think a 3 might decode in here, but you can kind of see my strongest one is still a minus 100 inside of here. So as Tom was saying, still 800 or 700 inside this building, we would be failing. But it's that quick and easy to kind of go through from, here was a spike on my spectrum analyzer. Let me put those values into my PCI scanner. Is it my control channel? Hopefully it validates whatever you were given, but that's going to give you that peace of mind. And depending on where you're working too, sometimes there's rolling control channel. So if you start and stop a day, the next day, just go in and just hit refresh. Is that control channel still there? Okay. You don't want to be wasting time. So with that said, we know our control channel now. I'm going to just use the 855-6875 for this example. If you've ever seen our design software, it's complicated. I mean, our training courses are 3 days, and the first set is literally to get you to know how to use the software. You're not really getting in the technologies and the how to really run things. It's like just getting used to the software. Our mobile survey software is 100% the opposite. If we go at the top, we have 3 different tabs. Basic, where you have a ruler, a push pin, which I'll talk about that in a minute, markup, modeling, cable routes, and image. That's it. We go into surveys, and that's when I want to do like data collection, whether if that's walking around the building or the stop and go. That's all that functions, just that tab. And then the third tab, grid testing, whether from adding a grid, critical points, all that details, that's all in there. So it's very simplified. We didn't try to make this a complicated software. We kept it on the easy side. So with the grid testing, since that is the standard for it, I mean, like add a grid. As soon as I start grid or dragging it, you're going to see the message at the bottom. The NFPA standard can't be smaller than 20 feet or larger than 80. We're just going to give you a warning. And if I was to let go, it actually would pop up with another message. But since I stretched beyond that, I've got it. We can change the grid, how it looks. This is one I've used before. By default, it'll show black, but sometimes black images on top of a black grid, tougher to see. So you can go through and make any modifications you want. So whether if it is like the size of it, or even the grids, not every building's a square or a rectangle. Sometimes there's customization needed. So a 4x5 is not gonna be what you need right off the bat. So make those changes, add additional grids. Sometimes you're gonna have multiple grids. All gonna depend on you and your AHJ's agreement on how is this testing gonna be conducted. And that's gonna fit no matter who you're using for your testing. Like I said, color, 100% is cosmetic, but sometimes I just put the purple in there so I can see it a little bit better. Or even if I wanted to, I can change like the size of it. Or if I needed to, I could delete. Just like with the PCTEL, best practice is before you do any movement or any testing, move your centroid. That's the little testing point that's in the middle. Sometimes it's just not in a logical spot. Most AHJs want you to be as close to center as possible. So just move it off a little. It don't mean like, okay, let me move this way off to a corner. If that's the only spot you can test, hey, and maybe you have to add a note to it, perfect. But in general, I mean, it's the same concept when you click on, I didn't click on it, my bad. When you click on it to move it, it's literally just drag it. Keep it close to where you are. The ultimate goal is to make that test repeatable. You may be testing it for the very first time, and then someone else might be doing the acceptance test, and someone else might be doing the annual grid test. Ultimately, all that data is going to the HJ. They want that to be repeatable every single time. So it's very good practice, kind of make it a habit of like keep it as close to the center as possible. If there's any oddities that come up, make notes, which makes it easy. And that's where we have some functionalities built into this to make that easier. Adding your critical points, as easy as turning on the critical feature, drop as many as you need. Turn it off when you're done. Under our settings, this is where, depending on what the HJ, what code and amendments they're following, whether the -95, if they have anything for SINAR and bit error rate, which a lot of times not necessarily in there. Are they going for 3.4, 3.0 on the DAC? Same thing, like all your percentages, make sure that's set up before you would ever start your test. Make your changes. All you got to do is hit save. If you're ready to start your test, Once we click on it, I got the frequency already pre-populated. If I had multiple control channels, or I was doing 700 and 850, 800, just put them all in there. And they're all gonna come up. I just put the one, because the 700 around here was not very good on the outside even. It had a very high SINR, or bit error rate was high on it. But ultimately, same concept regardless of software you're using. You start your test. Usually, it's always, where am I on the map? Find out where you are. Usually getting that first one knocked out is the toughest part. When it's ready, at the bottom it kind of tells you, select either a grid point or a critical point. All I got to do is hit record. Usually takes 5 to 6 seconds for this to initialize. My data is going to be all populated up there. If I had more than one control channel, I'm going to see all of them in just like an Excel table. If you're in an area where you just need one to pass, inside of our settings section, there was an option for group channel. So if it's like one pass, all pass, you can add in all the frequencies and it'll take that in consideration, where this one, obviously, just knowing the power itself, we're failing.
What does it use for your DAQ?
That's beyond my pay grade.
Okay.
What was the question?
The DAC score, how it's calculated.
It calculates DAQ, you don't actually just type in a number?
Well, if you do manual, yes. Just like PCTEL. So I mean, essentially, you can have the function where it's automatically calculated. So it's using your bit error rate and your SINR value to come up with the DAC score. And that's where the formula, I don't know. And that's usually
one or the other or both.
I think it uses this table. I printed somewhere.
Does it use
So it's a
both?
calculation that uses
Yeah,
the RSSI,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah.
yeah.
That's always like the secret sauce of, a little thing here, a little there. I don't PCTEL. I don't think they're, even when we worked for them, I don't think they're going to tell us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The TSP bullet?
Yeah.
Yeah,
When you're done testing, you just move on to the next. Critical point doesn't change anything. It's the same concept. You just go in, tell it to record, 5, 6 seconds. Depending on best practice, some people believe like doing like a spin. That way you're kind of getting body loss taken into consideration, whatever methodology that you deem is best. Sample-wise, I usually say 25, 30 samples is usually gets you a good enough value. You're only going to change a little bit. If you're seeing numbers fluctuate greatly, you got something else going on. So you're going to be looking into that. But assuming that you're staying relatively same, even when you move around, you kind of get that average in there, 20, 30-ish, you're kind of sitting in good shape. You would repeat that. I kind of showed you what a report would be at the end of it. And that's kind of like as difficult as it would be to do grid testing, which is literally not difficult. On the survey side, I mean, same concept. We can do analog, we can do P25, LTE, 5G, so depending on what you're needing to do, we're focused on P25 for this. I've already got my channel pre-populated in here. Like I said, we can do a continuous or we can do a stop and go mode. Continuous will have the breadcrumbs, and stop and go is only going to record when you're clicking. Very helpful either. Sometimes just you're outside of the building. Let me get all the entryways and make sure I get like all the different orientations. If you don't want to have to sit there and have a steady walk route in that scenario. Okay, same thing, you just have to hit the start button. Tom and I have walked many, many, many buildings in our lifetime. First thing to do, because this is now, it's more important, where am I specifically on the map and what's my orientation? So make sure, okay, if I got a hallway, make sure I'm at the right side of the building versus like, instead of being on this side of the building by the stairwell, if I'm over here, make sure you have your orientation beforehand, because otherwise you're redoing that walk, because then your data is not going to be accurate. So setting up a continuous walk, this does take usually about 30 seconds to initialize, where basically the scanner and the software are just syncing up. It disappears when you're ready. So just assuming that I was at this location, as soon as I see my dot go green, if you've ever done any type of walk testing, steady walk path, essentially ensure that you're clicking anytime that you turn. Security stops you and says, oh, hey, what are you doing? Click where you are on the map, so all that data is at that point, and then before you start leaving again, click on that point again, so all that data would be at that point. I'm just moving my mouse, kind of assuming that I'm roughly at a steady pace. But once you collected everything you need, you would just kind of hit done. And a lot of times, especially in the cellular world, you've got to do post-processing. We keep everything integrated. So even if you were doing designs in-house or if you were sending it to Westel to do your designs for you, I mean, this is data that they would love to have because it would make their lives a lot easier because they know the factual information of what's there. We turn on interpolation. All that is a 10-meter ring. Doesn't take any losses in consideration. It just takes the other data points into consideration. So let's say we take this dot here. It kind of looks like a pie shape because it's got the 10 meters, but all the ones around it are in the blue range. Obviously, we have poor signal. Everything's minus 95, minus 100 kind of range. I can always turn off that as well if I just want to see the data points. Being in the weaker side, it is very dark. I can click on any single point and I can see the specific details of that measurement, which is going to be helpful, especially like when it goes back to the design team for them to be able to see everything. I guess one last thing is like if you're doing surveys. So obviously, first thing you do is a grid test when you're on site, and does it need a system, does it not? If you can be the same team that's out there and says, okay, now I need to do a site survey, you're saving yourself money from a company's perspective, especially if you had to travel to get to where you're going. Some of the nice features that are in there, I mean, assuming you have either a maintenance guy or an IT guy who's going to be there and says, okay, where's my cable routes? They're going to be able to kind of say, okay, our cable routes run just on the north side of the building. You can quickly just go through, add the cable routes. When you send this back to the design team, they're going to have that, and they're going to be able to accurately design their stuff. Otherwise, if somebody else has to go out there, right now you're probably doing pencil and paper, writing notes, a little bit more of a challenge. The other feature that I love on this is our push pin. It's inside the design software as well, so if you're on the laptop, you can add these. But let's just say that right here was the IDF room. I can give it a name, if I can spell it properly. There we go. And I'll hit create. Right off the bat, it opens up my camera. So I can sit there, and it's designed to take pictures, video, audio, or text. Pictures are the most valuable, obviously, just from the standpoint of if I'm in an IDF room, I can take pictures. They're going to want to know what kind of ceilings are in different areas. So I can drop different push pins and be like, okay, drop ceiling. I got a little bit more freedom of how I'm going to run my cables. If it's drywall, okay, where are my access points? Is there access points there? And maybe I can drop a push pin and put that. If you're like me, I can't read my writing. So switching over to the audio note is perfect for me. If I'll know what it says pretty much that day, but ask me a week later what I wrote, 50-50. I don't know. But audio, much better. Or you can just like add text in there and be able to type in whatever you need in there. So very handy just to be able to kind of add that functionality in there. And like I said, that stays integrated with the file. So with the mobile, it's an iBwave file. With your designs, it's an iBwave file. So it just makes it where they can be imported and exported from back and forth into each. Doesn't have to be our Unity platform to make that happen. You can do old school where export, email it, or Google Drive, whatever you might have to be able to do it. But it just kind of gives you that quick, easy, and basic functionality to really kind of take you to that next step. One thing I didn't point out with our maps that we had up, at the top is our technology selector. So if I did have multiple technologies, so if I had 700 and I had 800, I'd be able to toggle between the two. I don't need to take this to a post-processing software to kind of do that. Same thing if I had multiple control channels, whether if it was 700, 800, or multiple 800, doesn't matter. They'll all be listed here. And then I can view my RSSI or my SINR. And if I ever want to, I can turn on my interpolation. Sometimes just from a visual perspective, makes it easier just to see. Reporting, like I said, I've shown the ones. The reports themselves run, I mean, almost instantly. They can be a survey report, or it can be a grid report. The grid report is one that I showed. It's designed to kind of be given to the HJ on the spot. Be able to say, okay, here it is right away. Here's my details. I mean, ultimately, I guess we're just trying to say there are more options out there. I mean, we know the PCTEL scanner, I mean, especially if you're doing things beyond public safety, has a lot of functionalities. Works great. We all worked for them. We know it. But there's options out there. I mean, the Prism Scanner, fraction of the size, fraction of the power, but very powerful. And we've partnered with Windy City Wireless. So, I mean, if you guys want to see more of a demo or get pricing, any of that information, whether if you're talking to Gabe, talk to Jim, they'll be able to help you out. And then obviously even from a demo perspective, sometimes I get brought in to kind of assist them, just to kind of give you the full gamut. I'll give you the quick highlights as fast as we can because we're on lunch and we don't want to take up too much of your time. But we just want to be able to show that there are options out there. We all have the same goal of making the public safety networks as safe as possible, as reliable as possible, because obviously we don't want bad things to happen regardless. And that's why I'll speak to Spectrum Analyzer. I'll speak to PCTEL because I just want you to use it and be able to use it right. That's the ultimate goal when it comes to all of that and all of our training. Like, it's not like cellular. It's like, okay, I'm roaming. You're not in that scenario now. This is more life or death when it comes to these. So it's important to be able to know it and be able to do it properly.